It was the afternoon of November 24, 1971. A cold, rainy day in Portland, Oregon. The day before Thanksgiving. At the Portland International Airport, a man who would become an American legend quietly approached the Northwest Orient Airlines counter. He was carrying a briefcase, and he bought a one-way ticket to Seattle, Washington. He paid cash, just $20 for a short flight, designated as Flight 305. The name he used was Dan Cooper, though the world would soon know him by another name, D.B. Cooper. No one paid much attention to him at first. He looked ordinary, a man in his mid-40s wearing a dark suit, a black tie, and a white shirt. He had sunglasses in his pocket, a raincoat draped over his arm, and a cigarette dangling casually from his lips. He blended in perfectly with the other holiday travelers. Businessmen, families, college students heading home. No one could have guessed that this quiet passenger was about to pull off one of the most audacious crimes in American history. When Cooper boarded the Boeing 727, he settled into seat 18C, at the rear of the cabin. He ordered a bourbon and soda while waiting for the plane to taxi down the runway. He smoked calmly, looking out the window as the rain streaked across the glass. At exactly 2:50 p.m., Flight 305 lifted off for Seattle, a short 30-minute hop that would forever change the lives of everyone on board and puzzle investigators for decades to come. Just after takeoff, Cooper turned to the flight attendant, Florence Schaffner. He handed her a folded note. Florence assumed, like most flight attendants did back then, that this was just another lonely businessman slipping her his phone number. She slipped the note into her pocket without reading it. Cooper leaned closer and whispered, "Miss, you'd better read that note. I have a bomb." Florence froze. Carefully, she unfolded the paper. The note was simple and direct. Cooper claimed he had a bomb in his briefcase and demanded 4 parachutes and $200,000 in cash, roughly $1.4 million today. He wanted the money and parachutes delivered to him when the plane landed in Seattle. If his demands weren't met, he said he would blow up the plane. Trying to stay calm, Florence sat down beside Cooper and asked to see the bomb. Without a word, he cracked open his briefcase, just enough for her to glimpse 8 red cylinders, a bundle of wires, and a large battery. It looked real enough to her, real enough that her hands trembled as she walked toward the cockpit to relay the terrifying message to the pilot. The pilot, William Scott, radioed air traffic control immediately. Within minutes, the FBI and local law enforcement were notified. As the plane circled the Seattle area to buy time, passengers were told that they were experiencing a minor mechanical issue. No one in the cabin knew that they were flying with a hijacker and a possible bomb just a few rows behind them. On the ground, Northwest Orient Airlines agreed to meet Cooper's demands. The money was quickly gathered from local banks, the parachutes sourced from a nearby skydiving school. At 5:39 p.m., Flight 305 touched down at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. By then, darkness had fallen and rain poured relentlessly on the tarmac. The plane taxied to a remote part of the airport. Cooper ordered the crew to keep the cabin lights dim and the window shades down, to prevent any sniper from taking a shot. True to their word, authorities delivered a knapsack stuffed with $20,000 in $20 bills and 4 parachutes, 2 main chutes and 2 reserve chutes. Cooper allowed all 36 passengers and 2 flight attendants to leave the plane in exchange for the cash and parachutes. He kept a skeleton crew: the pilot, the co-pilot, a flight engineer, and 1 flight attendant named Tina Mucklow. Now came the second part of Cooper's plan. He told the crew exactly what he wanted. They would fly him to Mexico City. He instructed the pilot to fly at an altitude no higher than 10,000 feet, with the landing gear down and the wing flaps set at 15 degrees, an unusual configuration that kept the plane slow and low. He also specified that the cabin remain unpressurized. Cooper seemed to know exactly what he was doing. These details were critical for what he planned to do next. The Boeing 727 was unique for one special feature: a rear stairway that could be lowered in flight. Cooper knew this, and it was key to his escape. At 7:40 p.m., Flight 305 took off again into the stormy night, this time carrying only 5 people, and $200,000 in cash. Somewhere between Seattle and Reno, Nevada, Cooper prepared for his leap into history. He opened the rear stairway, which tilted down into the roaring slipstream at 10,000 feet. With the ransom money strapped to his chest in a bank bag, and a parachute on his back, Cooper stepped out into the darkness and vanished into the freezing rain and dense forests below. When the plane landed safely in Reno a few hours later, Cooper was gone. So was the money. The rear stairway had been lowered, and the crew confirmed they felt the sudden depressurization when Cooper jumped. The FBI launched one of the largest manhunts in American history that very night. They searched forests, rivers, rural cabins, anything that might yield a clue. But D.B. Cooper had vanished like smoke in the night. Who was he? How did he disappear without a trace? Did he survive the jump? These questions have haunted the FBI, amateur sleuths, and conspiracy theorists for over half a century. In the days after the hijacking, the description of Cooper spread across the country. Newspapers printed his composite sketch, a man with neatly combed dark hair, sunglasses, and a calm expression. The name D.B. Cooper was actually a misunderstanding by a local reporter. The hijacker had given the name Dan Cooper, but due to a reporting error, D.B. stuck and became legend. Thousands of tips poured in. Some people were convinced that Cooper was a skydiving expert, maybe ex-military. Others said he must have died in the jump. The weather was brutal, the terrain unforgiving. The FBI scoured the flight path, combing through rugged forests and rivers in southern Washington and northern Oregon. No body was found. No parachute. No briefcase. Nothing. Years passed, and the mystery only deepened. In 1980, a young boy digging along the Columbia River stumbled upon a rotting package buried in the sand. Inside were bundles of old, decaying $20 bills, totaling about $5,800. The serial numbers matched the ransom money given to Cooper. This discovery reignited public fascination. How did this money end up here? Did Cooper die nearby? Or did he bury the money himself to mislead investigators? The FBI tested the bills, the riverbanks, and the surrounding area, but they found no further trace of Cooper or the remaining cash. It was like finding a single puzzle piece in a box that would never be complete. Over the decades, countless suspects have emerged, some more plausible than others. One was a man named Richard McCoy, a former Green Beret who pulled off a similar hijacking just months after Cooper's. He demanded ransom, parachuted out of a plane, and unlike Cooper, he was caught, tried, and escaped prison only to be killed in a shootout with the FBI. Some believe McCoy was Cooper all along, though the FBI dismisses this, citing differences in descriptions and MO. Another suspect was Dwayne Weber, who on his deathbed in 1995 confessed to his wife, "I'm Dan Cooper." His wife later found an old Northwest Airlines ticket and a hidden stash of cash in his belongings. But the FBI couldn't link him definitively to the crime. Some claimed that Cooper was a rogue CIA operative or a Vietnam veteran seeking revenge. Others insisted that he must have died in the jump, his remains scattered in the vast wilderness. And yet, no human remains, no parachute harness, no ransom money except for the decaying bundle found by that boy. Nothing concrete has ever been recovered. In 2016, the FBI officially closed the D.B. Cooper case, after 45 years of active investigation. They called it one of the longest and most exhaustive manhunts in U.S. history. Yet, despite closing the file, they left the door slightly open, stating that any new physical evidence would still be examined if it came forward. The legend of D.B. Cooper continues to thrive. Every year, new books, podcasts, and documentaries keep the story alive. Amateur detectives and armchair sleuths scour old documents, re-examine witness testimony, and chase wild theories. Cooper has become an American folk hero of sorts, the gentleman hijacker who was polite, calm, and left no one hurt. A criminal, yes, but one whose daring stunt captured the imagination of millions. Bars, restaurants, and even annual festivals in the Pacific Northwest keep his memory alive. Some people wear D.B. Cooper t-shirts, celebrating the man who outwitted the FBI and vanished into thin air. His face, that classic sketch with dark sunglasses and a sly grin, is now an icon of American outlaw folklore. But beneath the legend lies an enduring question. Who was D.B. Cooper really? Was he an ordinary man who planned the perfect crime? A desperate ex-soldier seeking one last thrill? Or did he perish that night, his remains still hidden under thick pine forests and muddy riverbanks? We may never know. The clues are few, the trail is cold, and the wilderness has kept its secrets well. But the story of D.B. Cooper lives on, whispered in conspiracy forums, told in late-night true crime videos, and dissected by mystery lovers around the world. So the next time you fly on a rainy November night, look out your window into the dark expanse below. Somewhere out there, beneath the forests of the Pacific Northwest, lies the final chapter of D.B. Cooper's story, a chapter that may never be read. Until then, he remains America's only unsolved skyjacker, a man who pulled off the impossible and stepped off a plane into legend. What do you think? Did D.B. Cooper survive? Or is he buried somewhere in the endless green wilderness? Let us know your theory in the comments below. If you enjoyed this mystery, make sure to like this video, share it with your fellow true crime fans, and subscribe to Mystery Vault for more real-life stories that defy explanation. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, sometimes truth really is stranger than fiction.